Sir, I have kids to feed.
Well, you don't like falafel?
Why didn't you pay for your falafel? Salutations, YouTubers. Welcome to the first ever Mega Fisa review. With me, your host, Fisa. I'll be reviewing just about everything from movies to anime, from TV shows to video games, from comics to manga, and maybe even the occasional retro cartoon. Now, before we begin, I'd just like to apologize for the voice quality of this episode. I haven't quite gotten the chance to get a high quality mic, so my voice is a little off. But enough introductions, let's go on to today's review, Batman Begins. Batman Begins was released in 2005, side and side with the abysmal Superman Returns. Directed by the now renowned Christopher Nolan, the film revived the Batman film franchise from the abyss which it sank to with the dreadful Batman and Robin. This film was the first of a trilogy that raised the bar, not only for superhero films, but for action films in general. Plot of this film. Batman Begins retells the origin story of the Dark Knight with a very modern and realistic twist to it. We see Bruce Wayne learn to become the Caped Crusader, utilizing all his gadgets, all his mind, all his training under the League of Shadows to turn fear against the criminal and the corrupt. We're also shown his motives for doing this, the beginnings of his relationships with his various allies, Alfred, Gordon, Lucius, Rachel. And of course it all comes to a head in the climax where Batman has to battle the man who made him who he is in order to prevent that man from destroying his home city of Gotham. Now that's a very brief summary of this. However, I don't want to spoil the film for you. I don't want to go too deep for those of you who haven't seen the film before. Onto the themes of this film. This film tackles a wide variety of themes really well. First of all, there's fear, how we should confront fear, and how we use fear, and just what the effects of fear are. It's all over the film with the fear gas, with Bruce being afraid of bats at the beginning, with him wanting to turn fear against the criminals and the corrupt. Also, there's justice. What is justice? What's the difference between justice and revenge? How do we get justice? Which is the main conflict between the main villain and the main hero, Batman. But of course, being a Batman story, the main message which we get out of this is never to give up, no matter what. On to the cast and characters. Christian Bale takes the role of the man under the cowl, presenting a complex, relatable, yet very vulnerable Bruce Wayne. He is very believable in the role and makes the audience truly understand what would drive a man to wear a batsuit and fight crime. However, as good a Bruce Wayne as I think he makes, I honestly don't think he makes a good Batman, but I'll get more into this towards the end of the video. Liam Neeson is excellent as Ducard, and he brings a real mystique, elegance, and sophistication to his role that makes his performance very memorable in this film. Michael Caine brings a warmness and lovableness to Alfred Pennyworth's character, which I've never seen before. Jim Gordon's character is given new life by Gary Oldman's performance, who in my opinion was perfectly casted for this. Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, who was always excellent, and he brought a great personality to, honestly in my opinion, a very bland comic book character. Now Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes. I thought she did a decent job, however she does look a little young for the role. I agree with most critics on that. However, it's not her that bothers me, it's the character herself. The character herself just comes off as too preachy and obnoxious, constantly going on about how she fights the good fight and no one else does, and saying how disappointed she is in Bruce. Yeah, I just didn't like her, honestly. As for the other side characters, they're all performed really well. I really like the wise Thomas Wayne we got, the really believable Flash and Falcone characters, and of course the genuinely creepy Scarecrow we got in this film. The direction, the special effects, and the stunts. Not much to say about Nolan's directing, as it's near flawless in this film. The lighting was well done, the camera angles were well done, the scene transitions were well done, and I also love the sets. Gotham itself looks amazing, and I'm a little biased, but I especially like it because it's filmed in London, where I live. Now, I'm not a big fan of special effects, I genuinely hate them, but I feel they're pretty good in this film, especially since we don't see them that often, only when someone gets hit with fear gas. However, I thought they did their job really well. Now onto the stunts. I thought the stunt work was excellent for this film, especially in the vehicles. There was a chase scene near the middle of the film, which is really well done. As a side note, I also love how they made the Batmobile a tank. However, something must be addressed when we talk about the filming of this film. The action scenes. Now, don't get me wrong, the fighting was really well choreographed and well executed by the actors and stuntmen. However, the filming of the fight scenes filming were really bad in this film. Like, everything was far too zoomed in. We couldn't really understand what was going on, which made the film hard to follow and irritating to grasp what was going on in the story. Thankfully, they learned from their mistake, and in the sequels, we don't have this problem. Musical score of this film. The music in this film is probably the best part. Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard bring their A game to this, and it really makes the film feel epic. However, sometimes I feel the music might be a little too loud to hear the dialogue clearly. History of this film. After Batman and Robin's failure pretty much doomed the Batman film franchise and got Batman Triumphant cancelled, many people weren't expecting another Batman film for a very, very long time. There are various pitches for a world's finest film and a year one film, however nothing really panned out until Batman Begins came around. Now, Batman Begins was based off various Batman comics throughout the ages, however I think the main ones were Batman Year One, Batman Shaman, and of course Batman Contagion. Batman Begins did really well and started the trilogy that culminated in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. However, there is a downside to all the success. Unfortunately, there was a kind of bat embargo put on the Batman characters, and many Batman characters couldn't appear in other forms of media because Warner Brothers feared that people would get confused of the different incarnations of the characters. For example, Batman couldn't appear in Smallville because Batman Begins was being shot. And many Batman villains were excluded from the Batman cartoons and the Justice League cartoons because Warner Brothers worried that people would be confused. Which I think is a real shame, because people aren't idiots. They can get that this is one version, this is another. Now on to our final section, and that is nitpicks with this film. Okay, firstly, come on guys. Really, Scarecrow's beaten by one taser shot? We couldn't have had a battle at all? It's just really disappointing, because the only other times we see Scarecrow in the series is small cameos in the later films. Another thing which was disappointing for me was Arkham Asylum. In other media, Arkham Asylum is a mansion that's on a separate island and it looks really cool and gothic. However, here it just looks like a bland, boring building. I don't know, it just disappointed me. Another small thing which kind of annoyed me was the Batarangs. He never uses them, ever. He must use them twice in the entire trilogy. Also, I just found it a little goofy that they're literally shaped like bats. Next up, why couldn't Ra's al Ghul be Arabic? I mean, his name is Ra's al Ghul. That's Arabic for head of the demon. It's disappointing because, well, the film was really loyal to the comics, but I don't know, it just dropped the ball in this one section. Now finally, there's Bale as Batman. I just don't like it. We all know about the voice and how, well, growly it is, and it's been made fun of to death. However, my main problem with it is the suit. I know it's not his fault, but he just looks silly in the suit. The suit looks way too bulky on him, the helmet looks weirdly shaped, and honestly, he just looks funny instead of scary. I mean, look at this face. Does that strike fear into your heart? Really? Honestly? Oh well, I guess it's not that important, because even though I would have preferred a sleeker, thinner, more elegant suit like the Batman 89 suit, it's not what the film looks like, but what it does that defines it. And this film is really well defined by its excellence, and that it began a really great trilogy of films that gave us good characters, complex themes, and an enjoyable experience overall. So I give Batman Begins 5 bats out of 6. With the honorary title of Awesome-tacular. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, Please subscribe for a cookie. Well, not a real cookie, a metaphorical cookie. I couldn't give you a real cookie. I would if I could, though. If you didn't like what you saw, then please leave a comment. Tell me what I can do to make it better. Now, after this video, I am taking requests, so if any of you want me to review something else, just leave a comment down below. However, next time I will be reviewing the TV show Star Trek The Next Generation. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay golden, and farewell.